We are going to dive into the mystery of the Sphinx today. I will walk you through 3 different sources. You will make a claim. Is the Sphinx a carryover from an ancient civilization, or at least a far earlier Egyptian civilization, and that it was transformed later in a later era, still old, maybe 700,000-800,000 years BC, but we're talking, was it built during that pharaoh's time, the face that is on the Sphinx? And I want you to find that out in your research. Or does it come from some earlier civilization? It was actually something else entirely. Or could have been a lion, could have been a Sphinx, and then it was just rebuilt during this time period. So you're going to do some research, just like we do in science and some other slideshows, but this is a little bit different. This is an epic. I'm calling it a C.E.R. epic. Claim, evidence, reasoning, standard essay, 5 sentences, you can get it done. Today, epic essay. Remember, this goes through Friday, this goes through the weekend, and I'm probably going to give you time on Monday to actually dive into this essay, so we can look at your rough drafts on Monday. Everybody should have rough drafts by Monday morning. We'll look at them. I'll let you work on them and write them Monday. So this is a little bit of a carryover, and then we'll start our science on Tuesday. An epic usually means 3 to 5 paragraphs, a little bit longer. Same format. So, for example, in a standard C.E.R., you just say, today I'm going to talk about the Red Sea. That's your intro. Then you give a description of the Red Sea. You say where it's located, maybe you give an opinion or another example of the Red Sea, provide a picture, and then restate, I hope you enjoyed learning about the Red Sea. In an epic, your whole first introduction paragraph basically is that C.E.R. You tell about what you're going to talk about. I'm going to tell you about the Sphinx today. I'm going to tell you where the Sphinx is located. I'm going to tell you about the opinion, what people think about the Sphinx, and there's different sources that say different things, and then you're going to say, here's what I think about the Sphinx. That's one paragraph. What's the next paragraph? Explain your source. Where did you get your information from? We need to know the time. We need to know who wrote it. Why do you think they're reliable? And then what they say about the Sphinx. That's your second paragraph. And then your third paragraph is to wrap it up with what evidence was strong for you, what is your exact claim, why, what in the article, cited from the video that supports your claim, and then finally you wrap it up with a conclusion, just like a C.E.R. But that's a whole paragraph in itself. So a 3-paragraph C.E.R. Now, some people are a little advanced. How does it go to a 5-paragraph? You have an introduction on your subject and you give some background with your claim. You have another paragraph on one piece of evidence, why it supports what you are doing. Maybe you have a whole paragraph just on the source itself, who wrote it, where did they come from, why are they reliable. Another paragraph on evidence, and you can put these in different orders if you want, and your own reasons behind why you think your claim is accurate, and then you do a whole conclusion. Now, each one of these paragraphs, it sounds like a lot. Sometimes a paragraph can be 1 sentence, 2 sentences, 3 sentences long. So if you did 3 sentences on average, it's only 15 sentences. So don't get overwhelmed. Remember, we're shooting for 3. If you want to make it 5, do it. Another way to think about it is make every paragraph like a C.E.R. If you did a 5-sentence little claim, support what you're talking about, evidence, reasoning, conclusion, for each one of those paragraphs, you'd have a 5-paragraph, 5 sentences per paragraph, and you would have an essay ready for college entrance exams. So I'm just preparing you for that. But right now, C level, even B level possible this week, is you're going to have a C.E.R. Try to make it 3 paragraphs. Just break it up into, you can have 2 to 3 sentences each on how old do you think the Sphinx is. Was it always a Sphinx, which is basically a lion, or was it a dog? Was there an ancient civilization attached to that? These are the things you're going to dive into right now. Let's go take a look. All right, here we go. So one of the things that you want to learn when you go researching things is there are going to be a lot of ads that pop up. You always want to be very careful not to click those ads because they'll just take you on a goose chase. So one of the things we're learning about, be careful. They will make an X look like a closed button, and that X will actually take you to the ad. So that's just a tip of the day. So one of the things you want to do when you start researching something, which I've kind of done it for you here, but you can still do it on your own and find other, there's a lot of sources out there on the Sphinx. Just type in, how old is the Sphinx? And then what pops up? Well, sure enough, here comes a History Channel, which has a lot of ads. I don't like it, but it's a beautiful little article here, and it talks about how old is the Great Sphinx. Now, one of the things we want to mention in our essay today is our sourcing. So we've done some sourcing before, and that's a whole activity in itself. So we're not going to go big into it, but you always want to check, when was this written? Original was 2015. It was updated 2018. 3 years ago. That's not 2-3 years ago. That's not bad. So it's pretty recent. It's a secondary source, and so we can go ahead and read this and get some information. Let's see what they say. The Great Sphinx of Giza, a giant limestone figure with the body of a lion and the head of a man wearing a pharaoh's headdress, is the national symbol of Egypt, both ancient and modern, and one of the most famous monuments. Despite its iconic status, geologists, archaeologists, Egyptologists, and others continue to debate the Sphinx's enduring riddle. What's the riddle? Exactly how old is it? The most common wisdom holds that the monolith is around 4,500 years old and was built by Khafre, a pharaoh of Egypt's 4th dynasty, who lived circa 2600, 2578 BC. Remember, that's before Jesus' time. His pyramid is the second tallest of the pyramids built in Giza, next to his father's Khufu's Great Pyramid. To make up for its lesser size, Khafre's pyramid was built at a higher elevation and surrounded by a more elaborate complex with numerous statues, including the Sphinx, the head of which is thought to be built in the pharaoh's own image. Not everyone believes that the Sphinx was built for Khafre, however. As far back as the 19th century, some Egyptologists pointed out that even though the Sphinx is located within the pyramid complex, traditionally identified as Khafre's, no contemporary inscriptions directly link him with the statue. All right, so now we have evidence for both sides already. So we're going to stop right here, and we're going to create our Sphinx slide. And let's go ahead and everybody, this link is in your groups. Go open it, and then we're going to get a statement from each, because we're going to start making our notes, because we want to see which is supported. So let's go common wisdom here. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and copy this. You can go grab it later. And then we're going to come down here and find the other view, so we have both views. So right now, let's take a break. Go to your slideshow. And I've got Lucky's here, by the way. Lucky, we're going to look at yours real quick. Look at this. Look at this. Lucky is on track. This is all the ancient. Oh, great stuff, buddy. Good slideshow. This is why Lucky gets A's. Now, Mystery of the Sphinx, bring to the top. Bam. Let's add another slide, because we're going to do a lot of research. You might have 3 slides, one per paragraph, or just one slide, up to you. And let's go. Let's just call this Sphinx Mystery Research. So what you're going to do here, it's kind of fun, is we're going to make 2 boxes. There's one. Whoops, I didn't do it the right way. I just moved the box. You want to make the box smaller. Let's have 2 boxes. Let's outline our boxes. That's text color. We want border color. Let's make it 3. So now we can see our boxes. You can make them different colors later. Let's add another text box like this. And we can fix these up later. I'm just going to make that one 4. I think I made it the wrong size. We'll match it later. And say Sphinx is older than they thought. And then this is the one I just did, the first view I'm going to put here. And I want to just paste that in there. And this is the traditional view, we'll call it. Traditional view is usually what people always thought, and then there's new views that people try to argue against it. So we have traditional view, everybody go get that. And then we have Sphinx is older than they thought, and all you need to do is go back to the article, which you're going to open in groups, and come down here. It says not everyone. A new theory emerged. I'll get this for you. Khufu and Tijija, another of Khufu's sons. More recently, that sounds like the new stuff, a new theory emerged that placed the statue's origin further back to some 9,000 years ago. Great limestone, rainfall, 7,000 BC. We're going to copy that. And you guys can all go do this in just a sec. And so we already have evidence for each side. Remember, you're only gonna use evidence from one of these because you're gonna make your claim in a little while, which one you think is right. And if you think it's the traditional view, then obviously you want to get the evidence from this box. If you think it's the older view, you want to use your evidence from this box. And so let's go and get that done now. Everybody needs to have the Sphinx at the top and this slide done. You can copy and paste, go open it up in groups, it says article, and get started. I'll give you 5 minutes because this is just copying and pasting. We are back. So everybody should have Sphinx slide at the top. Another slide here. We're going to put more notes in. Let's go take a look at some of our research right now on the Sphinx. So once again, we looked at the origins. This is around 2018. History Channel seems pretty reliable. It shows both sides. Let's go into the video now, YouTube, because they're fun to watch. Notice this one was 1 year ago. That's pretty recent. Who put it out? The Human Origin Project. We don't know anything about them. We can research that, but let's just check out the video and see what they have to say.
6 miles west of Cairo, close to the Nile River and pyramids of Giza, are the echoes of an Egyptian riddle. Throughout the ancient world, rumors of a statue buried in the Egyptian sands were whispered for centuries. In 1817, Captain Caviglia, with 160 men, attempted to liberate it, but couldn't dig faster than sand would fill back in. In the 1930s, archaeologists finally revealed the Great Sphinx of Giza. One of the largest monoliths of the world, towering 66 feet high and 240 feet long. The Sphinx was an ancient knowledge holder. In Greece, the Sphinx was a feminine god of the city of Thebes. Anyone wishing to enter would have to answer her riddle. Egyptologists now attribute the Sphinx of the pharaoh Khafre between 2520 BC and 2514 BC. Khafre is the son of Khufu, attributed to building the Great Pyramid of Giza. However, in the 1930s, French philosopher Charles de Lubix noted weathering on the Sphinx indicated water erosion. In the 90s, John Anthony West contacted geologist Dr. Robert Schoch from Boston University to investigate. Schoch concluded wear patterns on the enclosure were caused by water erosion from significant rainfall. The problem is that the last significant rainfall to occur in Egypt at the end of the Pleistocene era, 11,700 years ago. Egyptologists responded by saying no evidence for a civilization existed during this period. Since then, other explanations have included halocasting, which is salt water entering cracks in the limestone causing the erosion. In 1994, Göbekli Tepe was discovered dating to 11,600 years ago. Other stone-building cultures in Malta, Sardinia, and across Turkey all date before dynastic Egypt. In the 1970s, it was found the Sphinx points exactly east at the point of the autumn equinox. There is evidence that ancient cultures knew the precession of the equinox, a 26,000-year cycle. Was the Great Sphinx of Giza a testament to this long-standing date and time? The riddle of the Sphinx continues.
All right, that's great stuff there. So let's go back to our slideshow, get some evidence in. So I've heard a couple different things there, one for each side, right? Traditional view, they say no evidence of civilization 11,000 years ago, at least, so it can't be that old. Sorry, it can't be that old. The new view says rain eroded the head, last big rain 11,000 years ago. When I say big rain, they're talking so much rain. It's because it hardly ever rains in Egypt right now, but it did back then. 11,000 years ago, where it rained like daily for years and years and years and years, and then the climate changes, and then now it hardly ever rains there. So that's what they're talking about. 11,000 years ago, and other civilizations have been found that old. So let's get that done. I'm going to pause the video. You can go copy and paste. Oh, no, you can't copy and paste. It's from a video. So take those notes now. Okay, so now I've helped you through the first bits of evidence. Now you're going to go on your own, and you need to find one more piece of evidence. Let's go back to our how old is the Sphinx? Notice I just type in how old is the Sphinx and I search. Now you got to be careful what's online. So there's some really good evidence in some of these, but you're going to get ad blocked because you know, adults sometimes use foul language. So be careful the ones you look at. But that's why I'm doing these. These are the only ones you need. Now let's see. This wasn't supposed to be a Sphinx. Who built the Sphinx? 7 years ago. A little bit of outdated. Who did it? I think that's back. Oh, the Smithsonian Channel seems to be pretty accurate. The pharaoh who found the Sphinx. Let's think about that. This pharaoh who found the Sphinx. Made in the Ice Age? Does the Sphinx water erosion have to hold water? Now we can check this guy. That may have been criticized. I thought it was only right. I looked into this. Was this Atlantis? See, people think Atlantis maybe. Not like underwater people, but people that lived in an ancient time built it. Why was the Great Sphinx built? Blowing up history. This is discovery. Let's take a look at that. So there's all kinds of information. Man, great ones. Let's go. Do we want History Channel? What do you guys think? Let's go. Let's try Smithsonian. We haven't tried that. Let's go with... Okay, so that's an interesting one because keep in mind, this is why we do these activities. That whole video assumes that the Sphinx was built at that traditional time period. So if you were going to put a note in your slide, you might say, for any one of those pharaohs to have built it, it would have to be during the traditional. That means not that long ago, a couple thousand years BC. Look at here, Sphinx conspiracy argues the Great Sphinx was altered from the original. Here's another one. Let's see. This is only 9 months ago. Local channel. Let's check it out.
Of the world.
The 30th annual Breckenridge Snow Sculpture Championship is underway, and among all the artists carving sculptures
Every weak link of this whole piece.
is Rob Naylor, who spent more than 30 years using hand tools to make snow sculptures,
I've been doing it for about 35, 40 years.
and is now taking that expertise to study one of the oldest sculptures on Earth.
With my snow sculpting background, I actually made an astonishing discovery on the Great Sphinx of Giza.
Taking a modern theory that the head of the Great Sphinx is too small,
People have looked at it throughout history and said, that's not right. That head is puny by comparison.
and must have been cut down and carved from a larger lioness head.
It's not my idea. However, I did provide what I believe was good proof of this concept.
In fact, when you look at the pictures, you can tell that the Sphinx head is way too small, and Rob says he's got another picture that's clear proof that the head used to be much bigger.
When I saw that photograph, the hair stood up on the back of my neck.
In this picture, Rob says you can see the outline of where a larger head used to be.
That eroded little bed there is what I am arguing is the residual scum.
And so much like he does with snow, Rob carved a scale model of what a lioness statue might have looked like.
This would be the inside of Mahit's head, formerly known as King Khafre's.
All to show that a Sphinx head could have been carved from that lioness head that once sat there.
Everything that would have presented throughout history on the Sphinx's head would have to fit inside the original lioness head.
Changed, he says, by order of an Egyptian king.
King Khafre perpetrated the most profound and enduring identity theft, literally in recorded history.
And all this from a snow sculpting artist whose work might only stand for a few days,
The most fleeting and temporary form of sculpture.
but has shaped the theory Rob hopes will stand the test of time.
Shed light and insight on the oldest and most enigmatic sculpture literally on the planet.
Pretty wild stuff. Rob has written.
Okay, wow. So I think that's pretty cool. You can go on and on and on. The Sphinx, the Great Sphinx from Eocene era. What time period is it? Ancient aliens. I mean, it is fun researching how old is the Sphinx. Let's see if we can find one more short one. This wasn't supposed to be a sphinx. Let's try this one real quick, and then you are going to make the claim. Now, that last video, obviously, he claims it was a very much older, so that would take not the traditional. So we saw one that kind of assumes the traditional. We saw one just now that says, no, this used to be a lion, which means it's way older. And because how did it erode? From the rain 11,000 years ago. Now let's look at one more.
The greatest creatures, so of course, they're
All right. Woo, that's good stuff. So bottom line, here we go. What do you think? We used physical evidence. It's kind of cool that artistic guy, he's an artist, yet we used physical evidence. He used ice to kind of show how he thinks it was the lion's head. So the ice sculptor guy in that video we just saw provided evidence for the Sphinx is older than they thought and was a lion. You could add that there. So now you need to go in and add a couple more pieces of evidence, whichever one of these you're going to pick. So we already have enough for both. Don't worry about that. Now you think about everything you just learned. What claim are you going to make? The traditional view, that was the girl assuming that one of those pharaohs made it. The little more radical view that says it's 10,000 years old, 11,000 years old, BC actually, so more like 14,000 years old, and that it was a lion and eroded by rain. Think about that. Make your claim, and once you do that, keep your evidence. Let's add a new slide, and guess what? Now we write a C.E.R. supporting your claim. Is the Sphinx 5,000 years old or less, more like 3,000, 4,000 years old? Or is it more like 15,000 years old and was supposed to be a lion? Make your state, your claim, write your evidence. This should be a 3 to 5 paragraph epic C.E.R. So talk about your source. Where did you get your information? Support your claim. You can use more than one slide. All right, let's get busy. This is a Thursday, Friday, weekend, and Monday epic. So on Monday, we'll really dive into it. Tomorrow, we'll read some of the rough drafts if some people are done, and then let you have time to work on it. Monday, we'll read the rough drafts, let you edit those, and present. All right, let's do this. This is a fun one.